The assignment that we're going to create today is going to be a car savings spreadsheet. We want to calculate how long it would take you to save money to buy your first car. So here's the problem statement at the top of my spreadsheet. You'd like to buy a reliable car. You're looking for one that's going to cost about $5,000. Now you currently have $250 in your savings account, and from your part-time job, you figure that you can save $320 a month, and you're expecting to get a 3.25% annual rate of return on the interest that the bank would pay you. Now, in today's market, 3.25 is high. That would be very difficult to attain that kind of an interest return. But let's assume that down the road, when interest rates start rising, that we get back to that normal level, what it used to be. So the question we're trying to answer here is, how long will it take you to save enough money to buy your car? So to set up this spreadsheet, and you can do this along with me as we go through this, or you can watch the video and then go and create the spreadsheet on your own. Either way will work. The first thing I'm going to do is put in some labels to identify my categories. Now I'm going to start in A4 being my active cell. All right, and in that cell I'm going to put in month. I'm going to tab across to B4, and I'm going to put in interest rate, because that's the interest rate that I expect for my rate of return. Okay, in column C, I'm going to go up to C3, and I'm going to put in beginning, and then, and I had changed this to a smaller font size. I'm going to change that back so that we'll leave it at the default of 12. Actually, we're going to leave it at 10. And in the row right below that, I'm going to put in balance. Okay, I'm going to tab across to D, and again I'm going to go to D3. I'm going to put in interest, and when I return on the line below that, I'm going to put in payment, because I want to calculate what my interest payment that I'm going to receive will be. In D, I'm going to go to D4, and in D4 I'm going to put, because it's a single line heading, I'm going to put deposits. And then in column F, I'm going to go to F3, and I'm going to put ending, and I'm going to return and put in balance. Okay, so there are my labels that I'm going to represent the data in each of my cells. Now to make these line up a little better, let's select the range from C3 to F4. And then on your toolbar, let's go up and choose to right align those, so they'll line up with our numbers. Okay, now let's go down to cell A5. A5 is going to be my first month. Okay, so let's put in a 1 for the month, and I'm going to tab across. The interest rate. Now we need to calculate the interest rate, because I want to know what my interest that I'm going to get paid on a monthly basis is. So each month I want to see how much interest grows and accumulates in my savings. So to do that, we have to calculate it. Remember I said that 3.25% is an annual percentage rate? Well, I want to know what that equates to on a monthly basis. So in order to do that, I'm going to put in a formula that's going to take the 3.25 and divide it by 12 months out of the year to see what my monthly rate of return would be on my money. So to do that, I'm going to go equal, because it's a formula, and I need to express this as a decimal. So I want it to be 0.0325. And I'm going to divide that by 12. Okay, so this is 3.25% divided by 12 months. And I'm going to return, and that's going to give me a decimal that is 0.00270833. That's what my monthly interest is going to pay me. All right, let's go ahead and tab over or click in cell C5. Beginning balance, we said we're going to start out with $250, so let's put in $250. I'm going to tab across. Now my interest payment is a calculation. All right, I want to know how much interest I'm going to receive on the money that's in the bank. So at the end of the month, I'm going to put in a calculation that will take the value of my interest rate times the balance that I had in my account, which will tell me how much interest I'm going to receive for that month's deposit. So here, I'm going to put in a formula that's going to be equal the value of my rate of return, which is B5, and I'm going to multiply that, so the shift of the number 8, times the balance that I have, which is the 250. That's represented by C5. And I'm going to return. Okay, now I get a fairly long decimal, but what this is going to tell me is that I'm going to get 67.70833 cents for interest on that $250 deposit. All right? And we'll convert these numbers here in just a minute, so just hang in there with me. All right, for deposits, we said that we think we can save $320 for each month. Okay, so let's put in 320 as my deposit. And so at the end of the month, I want to know what my ending balance is. And my ending balance would be the total amount of my beginning balance plus my interest plus my deposit. So if I go equal the value of my beginning balance along with the value of the interest I received and the value of the deposit that I made, and I return, at the end of the month, I will have $570.67. Okay? Now, these numbers are hard to read this way, so let's make an adjustment that will fix the way the numbers appear. Okay? This column I'm not going to touch. I'm going to leave my interest rate expressed as a decimal. Okay? But these numbers all the way across here on this row and all the way down, and I'm going to go down to about row, maybe down to row 20. I don't know how many I'm going to need, but I'm just going to go down and select through row 20 for now. I want to express all these numbers as a currency. So on my toolbar, I'm going to go up to number, and I'm going to choose to reflect that as a currency. Now my dollar values all change, and this makes a little bit more sense. It's a little easier to read. Okay? So now let's go back and click in cell A6. Okay? In the first month, at the end of the month, I have a balance of $570.68. Okay? So let's set up month number 2. So month number 2, okay, I'm going to tab across. The interest rate that I'm going to receive is going to be the same as the previous month, correct? Because this was converted to give me a monthly rate. So if that's the same, I'm going to use my fill handle. I'm just going to drag that down. Okay? I'm going to go to my next cell, and what is my beginning balance? How much money do I have at the beginning of month number 2? Well, what I have is the value of the end of the month. So what I'm starting with at the beginning is equal to what I had at the end. But I don't want to put in $570.68. I want to put in a formula that represents a cell reference. So I'm going to put in an equal sign, and I'm going to say equal the value of F5. And I'm going to hit a tab. So now I have $570.68 as my beginning balance. Okay? My interest rate that I calculated, this interest rate times my beginning balance. Okay? I did that here and I found that I had 68 cents in interest. Okay? This formula is a relative formula. It says take B5 times C5. If I fill this down, it should take B6 times C6. Let's try it and fill it down. All right? The second month, I'm going to get an interest payment of $1.55, and that is correct. I'm going to go over to cell E6. My deposit that I'm going to make is $320. That's going to be the same. So again, I'm just going to fill that down. All right? And when I go to my ending balance is the total of the beginning balance plus the interest plus my deposit. And so to get that number, again, this formula, I should be able to just fill that down because it's a relative formula. So I'm going to fill down. And at the end of month number 2, I have a total of $892.22. Okay? Let's do one more month together. And I don't like the way this column looks with my numbers lined up, so let's select, and I'm going to just go through 20 again because that's what I did before. Let's center align these numbers for my month, and let's also center align the label at the top so that that looks a little easier to read. All right, so let's do this one more time. Month number 3, I'm going to tab across. My interest rate on a monthly basis is the same as the previous month, so I'm just going to fill that down. My beginning balance is equal to my ending balance from the previous month, so I'm going to go equal the value of my ending balance and hit the tab key. My interest payment is a calculation that I want it to take the value of my interest times the beginning balance. So I'm going to take this formula and I'm going to fill it down. So this month now I earned $2.42 in interest. My deposit that I made remains at $320. I'm going to fill that down. And my formula is to take the value of my beginning balance plus my interest plus my deposit. It's the same as this, and because it's a relative value or relative formula, when I fill that down, it now shows that I have $1,214.64. Okay, so when I click on that cell, I can see up here on my formula bar, those numbers all change to reflect the current cell reference. Okay, now we haven't saved this yet. We've been working on this for a while, so let's go to File, and let's do Save As. Let's go to our Block 4 folder. Let's go to the spreadsheet. Let's go to Teacher Guided for this. Go to Teacher Guided folder. And let's call this Car Saving SS for Spreadsheet. And I'm going to do a save. Okay, so now I know that that file is tucked away into my folder. Now, what I want you to do is to complete this spreadsheet. And the answer that I'm looking for is how many months will I need to save in order to equal or exceed the $5,000 that I need to purchase my vehicle. Following the same format that we just went through, there's another shortcut that you can use, and I'll see if anybody figures this out. You could do this a whole lot quicker by using a shortcut. We've experienced some of that on this little tutorial, but there's a quicker way of doing it. I'll let you see if you can figure that out. Okay? So your assignment is to complete this car saving spreadsheet and tell me how many months you'll need to save to equal or exceed $5,000. When you're finished with this, I want you to submit this to your Google Drive folder. Okay, so save it on your computer, then upload it to your Google Drive folder. All right, that's it for now.